Hello, hello, hello. A very, very warm welcome. Let's get you into the 444 Masterclass. I am so excited to have you all here. I'm just seeing you all popping on right now. Um, Amazing. So, what I would love to do, if you're just joining us just now, come and tell me where in the world that you are. Tell me what country you are listening in from. It always amazes me how international these groups get. It's really, really fun and I love it. So, let's have a look at the chat box here. So, we have got United States, California. Hello, Tommy. How are you doing? Hope you're well, girl. Kim from Missouri, Dorota, big echo on this side. I actually cleared out my office a little bit, so it's probably a bit echoey in here now because it's not got as much stuff in it. Um, from Kent, Helsinki in Finland, Dartmoor in Devon, amazing. Netherlands, amazing. France, beautiful. Birmingham, Alabama, not Birmingham, UK, Birmingham, Alabama. Hello, Anne, how are you doing? Italy, beautiful. Kansas. Isn't it cool? Like, I freaking love the internet. I love, 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 love the internet. We're going to be going through quite a lot of stuff today. And we're going to be looking at basically how I built my business and the frameworks that I use, the 444 method that I have created and I used. So we've got Fintorn in Sweden here as well. So Wales, Wiltshire, Inverness. Oh, amazing. Scotland, beautiful. So I've got somebody who's listening from my own hometown here, which is just really cool. Okay, amazing, amazing, amazing. Is there anybody here for the very, very first time? Like, this is the first time you're catching a master class with me, or the first time that you're jumping into doing anything with me. I know I've got some faces here that I really, really recognize, and I love to see you guys coming back and that there is. So, yes, first time for Myra. Brilliant. Oh, there's loads of first timers. Amazing. Oh, I love it. Perfect. Okay. So, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Joanna Hunter. I have been in business for 27 years. I've been self-employed for 27 years. I am what's known in the business as a serial entrepreneur. So I've had lots of different businesses in that time. But in 2015, I moved everything online and I moved everything online in my world that I was doing. I had a spiritual events pop-up company and I moved everything online and I began coaching online. In the last 11 years, I have personally made over $3 million. Can I just pause for a moment? Because honestly, I never ever thought that that might be a goal that I would ever reach. Like $1 million, let alone $3 million is actually insane. I have enrolled over 10,000 students in that time. And I have helped my students make over $100 million, which again is numbers that are beyond, beyond, beyond. I have a very, very passionate mission. Who here, let me know in the comments, who here feels called to help humanity? Who here feels a burning desire to leave the world a better place than you found it? Who here feels like I want to do good in the world? Like that is one of the things that drives me and motivates me, right? So I'm in lots and lots of good company, right? Because loads of you are saying, yes, yes, that's me. Like hands up, that is me. Fabulous. Here's my mission. I want to see you wealthy. Why do I want to see you wealthy? Because you're already called to help humanity. So you're going to do good things with it. You're not going to fund a space rocket that has zero humanitarian value, you are going to do amazing things with money, which is why I want to see spiritual women with money. It's quite simple. I want to see spiritual women with money and I want to see you resource. So I'm really, really passionate about that. And when I first started, I made a promise that if somebody was going to come and jump on a masterclass with me, I was not going to waste their time because I have been there. I've been on those masterclasses where you get off at the end of an hour or 2 hours or 90 minutes, however long it is, and you're like, oh, gee, that is time I am not getting back, right? And they've wasted your time. I hope tonight that I will do anything but waste your time and that I will give you some real things that you can start thinking about applying into your business and working in your business today. So I am going to see Susan wants to support nature. Like, yes, yes. That with money is going to be chef's kiss, isn't it? Like all of you, whatever you're doing, whether you're supporting mamas or whether you're wanting to support school children or whether you're wanting to build forests or whatever it is that you want to do, if you want to leave this world a better place, that's who I want to see having the money in this world. And that's my mission is to create as many wealthy spiritual entrepreneurs as humanly possible because I think with that, we can really truly begin to change this planet for the better. So, I promised you my 444 method. So, you will have seen my little adverts and they said 444 on them, but actually, it's four fours. It just looked better with three, okay? Like, don't judge me. It just looked better with three fours than four fours, okay? But we're going to go through four sets of four. So, the first four, I'm going to be honest with you. They're a little bit boring and they're a little bit basic, but they're important. And I'm going to tell you why they're important. Who here already has a spiritual business or a business, and you find sometimes you get really in your head and you get really, really overwhelmed, right? So put an O in the comments if you feel like sometimes you get overwhelmed, right? Like I've been there so many times. So this set of fours are going to prevent you from getting overwhelmed again. Okay. So I know that's a tall order, but like if you have felt overwhelmed, so I'm seeing lots of O's there, right? Like somebody's like, oh, oh, oh. That almost sounded like a good time, ladies. Okay, so here's the thing. These are what I call the four unwritten rules of online business or any business, really, to be honest. They will work for any business. Doesn't matter whether you're online or offline, right? They work for any business. Okay. The four unwritten rules of business. Rule number one, you need something to sell. I told you they were basic. Okay. You need something to sell. Rule number one of the unwritten rules of business. You need something to sell. That means a product, a service, or something that you are charging money for. The second one, and again, just as basic, you need a way for people to pay you. Now, I have a little rule of thumb on that. The simpler, the better. So the simpler that somebody can pay you. So if you are a bank transfer lady, get that shit sorted. Okay? Get that shit sorted. Go get yourself a PayPal or whatever you want to use that is a link that people can pay you easily, right? Because if you're having to make them jump through hoops, you are losing sales. Okay. So number one, we need a product to sell. Number two, we need a way for people to pay us. Number three, and this is the one that people get really, really their panties in a bunch about. You need to tell people that you exist with your product, that your product even exists, right? Now, that in the business world is known as marketing, right? How many of you have gotten in a tizzy over marketing, right? Because I know I've been there. I know that most of you are probably had like, oh, the marketing thing's so hard. No, it's not hard, ladies. Tell people that you exist. Tell people that you have a product for sale. That is it, okay? The final piece is, and this is really only if you want to stay in business, and I highly recommend step number four, you deliver what you promised. You deliver what you promised. Those are the four unwritten rules of business. Okay. Now, I'm teaching you all to suck eggs here, right? It's super easy. But here's why I'm going to tell you these things as part of the 444 method. See, when you get overwhelmed, please remember these four because you'll never be overwhelmed again. Because when you're starting to think about complicated funnels, or you need to set up ManyChat, or you need to set up this complicated tech, ladies, it's this easy. Have something for sale, have a way for people to pay you, tell people about it, and deliver what you said you were going to deliver, right? If you can keep that front and center, the four unwritten rules of business, if you can keep those front and center, you will never be overwhelmed again. Okay? The amount of times where I've looked, because we're all on social media, right? So it's like we cannot escape it. We've all been on social media, and as we've all been on social media, what have we done? We looked at somebody else and we saw the way they were doing things, and we thought, oh, maybe I should be doing it that way. And before you knew it, you were down a big rabbit hole, and now you're totally overwhelmed. You're having to breathe into a paper bag, and you are freaking out about your business, right? This is when you need these first four. If you can think of these first four, you'll bring yourself back to feeling calm, collected. You'll be able to breathe again. Okay? Those are lifesavers for me, knowing those things. So when my brain tries to make things more complicated, I come back to the first four, the four unwritten rules of online business. Okay. Putting it back to being simple. Yes, yes, that is what it's all about. Putting it back to being simple. Okay. It's not mind blowing, ladies. It's not going to blow your mind. Okay. But I wanted to start off with that because so many people get so overwhelmed. And as we look in this group, look how many people drop me a little O, right? Not so much recently, some of you, right? But a lot of you felt, yeah, it's overwhelming. So the next four all relate to you. Okay. So the next four are what I call my unity framework: self, soul, service, and source. And they stack. Okay. So this is really, really important. Who is running your business? Who is running your business? It's not a trick question, I promise. Who is running your business? You're like, I hope it's you that's running your business, right? I hope it's you that's running your business. So you are running your business, so that is going to affect yourself. So that's the first piece of the Unity Consciousness Framework. Now, the self is really, really, really important because the self connects to the soul, and the soul connects to service, and service connects to source. Everything that you have ever wanted, everything that you have ever needed comes from source. Okay? You are your own source connection. So I'm afraid to break it to you, and some of you are going to be like, well, damn, Skippy. But I'm afraid to break it to you that your self relationship is impacting your business. Because if you don't have a good self relationship, it is going to make the business relationship torturous. How is it going to make the business relationship torturous? Two ways. Your self connects to soul, and soul connects to service. So if your connection with the self is a little bit on the fritz, a little bit dodgy, then your connection to your soul. That means your intuition, and how that's showing up in your life is you're going to be filled with doubt. You're going to have lots of doubt. So every time you make a move, you're going to have like the little monkey on your shoulder going, oh, are you sure you want to do that? Like, is that really the right move? And if you're filled with doubt, it tells me that you're out of alignment in the soul pillar. But before you can be out of alignment with your soul pillar, you probably are out of alignment with yourself, right? That then connects to your service. Now, how many of you have experienced, when you've been in business, resentment? feeling like you've overgiven, over delivered. I remember one of my clients saying to me, Joanna, I need help. She said, Joanna, I need help. And I said, okay, tell me why you need help. And she said, it's like the bloody generation game when somebody comes for healing. I was like, what? So the generation game is a game show that we had in the UK, right? I don't even know if it's still on the telly. Like somebody can maybe tell me, right? And they said, right, I don't even know if it's still on the telly, but she's like, it's like the generation game. So I said, tell me how it's like the generation game. So in the generation game, they had this conveyor belt and it would have all this random stuff on it, like a kettle, a teddy, keys. It would be like a toaster, things like that, right? And it would pass you by, and then you had to sit on this chair, and then you had to remember all the things, right? And whatever you remembered, you got to take home with you in the game, right? And so I'm sitting there thinking, this woman's a healer. And she goes, yeah. She goes, they pay for the healing and they leave with crystals. I maybe even give them a card deck. I'm just overgiving, 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 right? And I knew as soon as she was telling me this that her service pillar was really, really impacted and that she was in servitude and not service. And how that was showing up for her is, well, like energy attracts like energy. So she was getting more opportunities to be in servitude instead of actually being in service, right? So this is why self, soul, service, and source are really, really important. Now, I teach these inside my programs, and this is my main framework, self, soul, service, and source. But each one actually has a massive course behind it. So there's a course for the self, there's a course for soul, there's a course for service, and there's a course for source. Okay. But when these are not aligned, so the place to start is with the self, first and foremost, right? That's going to make your business life so much easier. Because imagine making moves in your business and not always having to second guess yourself. Every time you're worried, will this work? Will this not work? Oh my God, am I doing it right? Am I enough? Um, all of that doubt is coming between the self and the soul connection. When you're fully connected, fully tapped into your soul, you'll actually feel when you're making the right moves in your business. And then you'll tap into your service and you'll understand of being in service and not in servitude. And you won't be like on the generation game trying to give people over deliver, over give because you're stressed at the idea that you're maybe, that what if this person thinks I'm not enough, right? Or what if they don't feel like they got value for money or whatever it is. So this is why these four are really, really important. And really at the end of that stacked system, we have source, which is the source of everything that you're receiving. Everything that you receive comes from source, which is why the more immaculate your source connection can be, the more money you will naturally make. Okay. So I was writing something today. I was working on some writing today, and one of the things that came into my mind was I was thinking about this self, soul, service, and source relationship. And I was thinking, when you're building a business, it's a bit like climbing a mountain, right? And you can climb the mountain on a beautiful sunny day. That's when you're in alignment, when you're feeling good. The sun's out, it's shining, it's lovely, it's really nice. There's nice cool breeze. It's a lot easier to climb the mountain like that. But a lot of people, when they're out of alignment and their self, soul, service, and source is out of alignment, it's like climbing the same mountain with a bitterly cold north wind in your face and ice on the ground. And every step you take is excruciating. And so many people build their business from that space. They build their business from that space of it being really, really excruciating. And then they wonder why they're not getting anywhere fast. And it's because self, soul, service, and source is usually out of alignment. When that moves into alignment, and you work on those relationships, it makes it a lot easier to begin building your business. So the next four that we're going to be talking about, does that make sense so far? Does that giving you some ahas and seeing like, oh wow, okay. Brilliant. Perfect. So the next four that we're going to move into is what I call the four pillars of online business. And again, these are very simple, very basic. And you'll notice something. I used to think like if you were to make a lot of money, it had to be fancy, right? If you were going to make a lot of money, it needed to be fancy. No, it doesn't need to be fancy. Actually, you are more likely to execute and take action if it's simpler, right? If you needed a PhD every time you go to put a post out, it would it would impact how many posts you could put out. If you can do it simply and easily, you're going to do it more, right? And so this is why we do not want complex businesses. We want simple businesses because the simpler the business is, the easier it is for us as human beings to actually take action. Okay? So the next piece is the next four, which I call the four pillars of online business. And again, nothing special. They're no-brainers, but let me go into them a little bit. So the first one is post on social media. So on social media, we need to make sure that we have content that actually hits. Okay? We need to have content that will help us grow a social media brand or to grow our brand on social media. So that means that our content can't just be buy my thing, buy my thing, buy my thing. It has to be a mixture of things. So storytelling is an aspect of posting on social media, learning how to speak to our people, storytelling. We need to have content that connects because we don't have content that connects, we're like Teflon, nothing sticks, right? So we need to be content that connects. The next piece is build an email list. Why do we build an email list if we're posting on social media? We're posting on social media to attract new people. But we need to build an email list because we do not own our social media accounts. We are guests on social media. So we need to have our own email list. So if you have not got your email list set up, that would be one of the first things that I would be setting up in your online business or thinking about or encouraging you to set up in your online business is your email account. Because as you collect emails, you have an asset that you own and control. Okay. But that being said, make sure you back up your email list, right? And that you hold a backup and you do that as a regular monthly thing that you do, right? Especially if you're spending time and effort growing that list. Back it up because you don't know the company that you're working with as your email list provider. If they go bust and decide we're not doing this anymore, you want to make sure that you still hold control of that asset. Okay. And it's an asset to your business. The next piece of this is a piece that I find is probably missing from about 95% of business courses. And trust me, I have bought a lot. It is build relationships, building relationships. So that's building relationships with buyers, that's building relationships in your community, that's building relationships, period. So we have to build relationships. And most people don't know how to do that because they've got content that's like Teflon, so they're not making any connections, and they're then wondering why they're not building relationships either. When you build relationships, you prevent yourself from being a one-hit wonder. What is a one-hit wonder? A one-hit wonder is you sell something to one person once, and then you never hear from them again. They buy once and they're gone. You did all of that effort to produce your product, which is our first set of four, right? Produce your product. You create a payment link. Well done, good. You told people about it, right? And you did all of that effort. You posted on social media and you did your email and you worked on your self-sold service and store, so you weren't like second guessing every single step that you were doing, right? And you did all of that only to sell to that person once and that there's no relationship and that you don't end up being a mutually beneficial relationship that lasts in years, right? So what we want to do is we want to make sure we're building relationships. The next piece is a piece that I had a lot of problem with when I first started because it was like build authority. And I was very much like, like I was just missing a pink mohawk. I was like, fuck authority. And and then so the idea of building authority for myself was, like it kind of went against my rebel heart. But what I understand about authority now is I always use Joe Bloggs, which is just a generic person, and a doctor. Who would you prefer took care of you medically, right? Like Joe Bloggs off the street, some rando that was going to do like, I'll do your toe operation, for example, right? Or a doctor. Like we're like, I think I'll take the doctor, please, right? Why are we choosing that? We're choosing that because they have authority. And so we can build authority. We do not need to go and get a doctorate to build authority, although that is one way to actually build authority. Other ways to build authority is launch a podcast, write a book, be on podcasts, be a guest expert in groups. There's lots and lots of different ways to build authority in your business. There's loads of different ways to build authority in your business. But building authority is what sets you apart from the great unwashed of the internet, right? There's a lot of folk on the internet, and there's a lot of scammy people on the internet too, right? So when you build authority, you stand above that and people start to respect you and they go to you for an opinion and they single you out because you have that authority, and that builds additional trust, and trust is essential in making sales, right? Because remember, there's a lot of like, we don't know who's on the internet. There's a lot of people that don't have the best intentions on the internet. We all know this. But when you have that authority, right? So there's lots of ways. The first way that I tell all of my Divine Planning Abundant Profit students is your profile picture. Your profile picture, right? People connect with people. So that's building relationships. So I know your dog is cute. I know your cat is adorable. But unless you are in that photo too, please do not make that your profile picture on social media, right? Please do not make that your profile picture because you're never going to connect with anyone because people like they don't really want to connect with your cat or your dog. They want to connect with a person, right? And so these are little things that we can do. And when we're thinking about building authority, what can we do? Other ways of building authority, right at the very, very beginning of this, I told you who I was. I introduced myself and I said, hey, I'm Joanna Hunter. And then I gave you why you should listen to me. Okay, I've made $3 million on the internet. I've helped my clients make over $100 million on the internet, right? And I've enrolled over 10,000 students. I want you to think about, when you think about authority, I want you to think about what is in your brag statement. What have you done? What have you created? What have you done that can set you apart from other people? Okay. So let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments if there's something that comes up. Kathleen says, I include my horse. Absolutely perfect because you teach animal communication, but no profile picture of just your horse. It has to be you and the horse. That works in context. So think about your brag statement. What is your brag statement? Because that statement can help you build authority. Why should other humans listen to you? Right? So as women's, as women, so here's how to formulate your brag statement. Okay. So Dorota here is saying, I run successful spiritual events. Great. But how many years have you done that, Dorota? Because that's what's going to set you apart, right? Because I know 20, right? So for the last 20 years, I run successful spiritual events that have helped thousands of people. Do you see how that changes that? Like we've gone from I run successful spiritual events. I like, okay, next, right? To I have run successful spiritual events for the last 20 years that have helped thousands of people. I know Dorota is not telling a word of a lie there because for 20 years she has been doing this work. That makes me instantly go, okay, this is somebody I need to listen to, right? Because she knows what she's doing. So if she decided to do a course on how to launch and create your own spiritual events, right? I'm going to pick her over some chippy that's been doing it for 3 days. So I want you to think about your brag statement because when you are on social media, you can use this brag statement. You can use this statement. How you're going to use the statement is you're going to introduce what you're talking about, and then you're going to tell people who you are so that people know who you are. But you're going to use the things that give you authority. That makes people instantly take notice. Right? So Susan said, I've authored over 10 books on positive psychology, appreciative inquiry, and trained hundreds of people in how to use them in personal life or work. I think, Suzanne, if you went back and looked at your numbers, you probably were more like close to 1,000 people. Because think about it, 10 books is a lot, right? And so yeah, so Jane's going, excuse me, Susan, I think you trained thousands, right? So Susan's getting a little come to Jesus there in the comments section. We're loving that for her, right? But yeah, so don't sell yourself short. Don't sell yourself short. And yes, you're gonna feel like an absolute tube to start with, right? You're gonna feel like, oh, cringe, cringe. Like I'm telling people this stuff about myself. Do you like money? Do you like clients? Do you like serving people? Because if the answer is yes to all those, literally get over yourself, right? Literally get over yourself. So, we want to have a statement. This is going to help to build our authority, which will build trust, which will help you to build relationships, which will help your social media posts to actually have impact, which will help people to actually get on your email list. And these are all the basics that are needed for building your online business. And if we've got the first four unwritten rules of online or unwritten rules of business covered, we then have products to send them to, and we then also have a payment link to send them to. And we also are now fulfilling that third piece, which is you look at you go, you're marketing now, right? Like you're telling people you're alive, you're telling people that you have something. So let's have a look at some of these other as they're coming in. I'm loving these. Okay. Um, Right, so Sophie's saying I'm planning my first webinar, so that's so exciting on diabetes. So you're so right. I need to introduce me and why people should listen to you. Right, exactly, right? So that could be how long you've actually been dealing with the disease yourself and the fact that you're like a nurse or whatever training that you have that helps give that authority. Don't discount anything, okay? Um, Yeah, so you don't want to include teens in your profile picture. Um, so you don't need to include that. What you want to include in your profile picture is your face so that people are connecting with you. It's more for people, your profile picture is for more for people like if you have flowers or you're a dog, or I've seen people have got like a car in their profile picture and they're not even in the picture. Like we want to have a profile picture where people can actually connect with you. That's the important piece. So, I'm the only chakra dance facilitator in the Highlands of Scotland. I'm a therapist in many modalities, and I've helped over the last 20 years. So you're going to lead with the 20 years. For the last 20 years, I've been a therapist, right? So for the last 20 years, I've been a therapist trained in many modalities, but I am the only chakra dance facilitator in the Highlands. Now, That is if chakra dancing in your like business is like front and center, like that's something that you really highlight and that you really want clients to come into, that's what you would highlight. Otherwise, what you would do is you would take one of the therapies that you're doing and that you want to sell, like whatever it is that you want to sell, you put that front, but you're going to put that 20 years right at the start, right? Because the moment you say 20 years, you are giving yourself authority. Does that make sense to people? Give me a little thumbs up if you're on the camera and I can see perfect. Okay. So, Jane, I've got 35 years experience. There we go, right? Like, are you going to listen to Chantel, who has been on the internet for 5 minutes because Chantel is actually, I don't know, a few years off 13, or Jane, who's been doing the work in 35 years? We're going to pick Jane. We're going to pick Jane, right? Because Jane just told us, I got experience, and experience trumps everything. I've been employing people for 26 years, right? I started my first business at the age of 23. In fact, I've been employing people for 27 years. And I hired my first person, at 23 years of age. And let me tell you, as somebody who hires other people, and at one stage in one of my brick and mortar businesses, I had 25 employees, right? Nothing like that to put hair on your chest. Like, geez, right? That is my idea of not a good. But the first thing that, experience, I didn't care what they did at school. I didn't care what qualifications they had. What I really wanted to know was, what experience do you have? Because the experience always made a better employee than they had this certificate and this certificate and this and this and this and this and this. The experience always trumped it, like always trumped it. So I want you to think about it, right? So I've got 35 years experience in the personal development book, published 4 books and 2 blogs. So how you would make that more personable is I spent the last 35 years down the rabbit hole of personal development and I absolutely love it. I have been trained in multiple modals and I am the published author of 4 books, right? If you heard that as an opening intro on a social media post, it would make you sit forward and pay attention. Okay. And this is the difference um, nowadays. We used to live in information economy. Okay. So you could pretty much, like when I first started online 10, 11 years ago, it moved everything online. When I started online 11 years ago, I was like, you just had to rock up with information. If you had good information, you would pretty much make a sale, right? If you fulfilled the 4 unwritten agreements and you did the 4 pillars of online business, if you did those two together and had good information, like you would literally make a sale. It was that easy because we lived in an information economy. If you had good information, people paid you for it. Great. Does that mean that courses and coaching and all of that is over? Absolutely not. It's still a booming industry. But because of the advent of AI, we've transitioned from an information economy because any one of you can rock up on AI and get information. We're overrun with information. So what we live now is we live in an influencer and skills economy. So an influencer and skills economy needs different tools in order for you to be able to make money online, right? You need to demonstrate that you have the skills that you are saying that you have because AI can spit out the information at you, but do you have the skills? Right? And this is where so many people, I get so mad at some of the ladies in my world. I'm not mad at them, but I'm mad for them, right? Because they discount themselves. And then when I look under the hood with them and they're like, I've been doing it for 20 years, I've been doing it for 30 years. And I'm thinking, freaking Chantel is out there and she's 23 and she's a fucking life coach. And you've been doing it longer than she's alive. But Chantel is canny as fuck and knows how to speak to people. and knows how to build authority and does it all. And she's getting the clients. And you guys have got like 30 years, 35 years experience. And I'm like, oh, and it's no disrespect to Chantel because I think there's enough room for all of us. But do you know what I mean? It's like you deserve the clients because you've got the experience to really deliver the goods. You can tell I get really passionate about this, right? Poor little, like, I hope nobody's on this call called Chantel. And they're like, what are you talking about me? No, I'm not speaking about anybody. I'm just grabbing for a name here. Okay. So, for the last 25 years, I've helped thousands of educators, students, and families teach and live successfully with neurodiversity, right? Beautiful, 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 right? Look at the experience that so many people have. And it's giving you that authority. It's giving people that this is why you should listen to this human, which is really, really important. Now we live in an influencer economy, so people need to stand out. They need to have that authority and they need to be somebody of influence. And when you build authority, you create influence, right? When you build authority, you create influence. And this is one of the reasons why we should all be building personal brands, right? So, what is a personal brand? A personal brand is where your business and your brand is centered around you versus it's centered around a product. Okay. So, let's use Mars bars. We do not know who the creator of the Mars bar is, right? It's not a personal brand. I'm sure if we went to old little chat GTP, we could probably get um, you know, we could probably get something from there. Okay. But here's the thing. We are now needing to prove that we have the skill if we're going to make sales, and we have to show people that we have the experience. And we have to give people a real reason, like a real meat and potatoes reason. The reason is no longer I've got information for sale. It is that I can actually help you move the needle. And that's the difference. And this is where the women who are in my world, who have got 35 years experience, 30 years, 20 years, 21 years, 10 years, right? We can we can clean up in this economy because we have the skill, right? Because we didn't read a book on law of attraction and think, hang on, I could teach this. And that was it, right? We had zero experience, but we just read a book on it and now we're just going to rinse and repeat it, right? That in this current economy is not going to fly in the way that it was once upon a time, because once upon a time all you needed, your what you needed was information and that was it, and then you were good to go. In this influencer and skills economy, we need to be able to have the skill and be able to have the influence, and we can only have the influence if we pay attention to building a personal brand. And we are not going to be able to build a personal brand if we do not give people a real concrete reason to follow us, right? So, who's ready for the last four? Has this made sense to you? Has this been of value so far? Let me know in the comments. Oh, I'm seeing Rebecca here. Hello. She's looking at me going, is she speaking to me? Yes, I'm speaking to you. Um, beautiful. Okay, perfect. Okay. So the last four is my business framework. This is how I run my actual business. So all the other four help me to run my business. So obviously the four unwritten rules, like I need to conform to that because otherwise you just don't have a business. The unity consciousness just is makes it easier on my nervous system, and it will make it easier on your nervous system if you begin to learn unity consciousness, right? Because that is going to be the number one thing that's going to stand in your way when you are building your business, your own stuff. And let me tell you, there is nothing like a business that will, your business will take you down. right? There's no hiding when you have a spiritual business or any type of business, right? You got doubts, big old spotlight on them. You got trauma, past shit, big old spotlight on that, right? Everything will be laid bare and all of your shit will come up in a business, right? I said to my mother in October 1999, when I first started in business, I said to my mom, being in business is a spiritual journey. And I still wholeheartedly believe that. I still wholeheartedly believe that because it will bring everything up to the surface. And if you are not prepared to deal with it, it will take you down. And so, and it's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. You know, no one's going to be like, oh, childbirth so horrific, right? It is. But like, we're not mad at it once they hand us the baby, right? Growing comes with pain. It comes with extras. So let's get into the last four. So I call this my core framework, CORE. Okay. So the C stands for clients, customers, and conversations. Customers and clients are the lifeblood of your business. No customers, no clients, no business. Okay. So we need to learn how to find them, how to speak to them, how to sell in a way that will actually land for them. And what sales truly are is powerful conversations. And if we do not know how to have powerful conversations with prospective clients, then we're not going to probably connect with them either. So the C is about clients, customers, conversations, and connection. That is going to create the lifeblood of your business. The next part is opportunity and optimize. Okay. So here's what most people in business do when it comes to opportunity. They sit like this. Any minute now, an opportunity will come along. No, no, it won't. If you want opportunities in your business, you have to go out and make them. And here's why I advocate making your own opportunities in business, because if you make your own opportunities, you control them. If you are waiting for the world to present you with opportunity, you are going to be waiting a very, very, very long time, right? Do not wait for opportunity, go out there and create opportunity. Okay? And then as we begin to create opportunity for ourselves to get eyeballs on our business and to get people involved in our business and to look at us and to see what we have and to experience our products or services or whatever it is that we're selling, we need to create those opportunities to actually increase the kind of footfall of who's looking at us, right? And then we need to do the second thing. And the second thing, let me tell you, if your unity consciousness is not in place, so that's self, soul, service, and source, if that's not in place, the second piece is excruciating, is optimize. If you're trying to optimize your business while you still have inside your head a harsh inner critic, your optimization is going to feel like you're failing because there'll be just a literary list of everything that you did wrong. If you're trying to optimize your business and it just feels like self-critique, it's because your self, soul, service, and source is not in alignment. Because optimization is about looking at what works and what doesn't work. And I'm going to blow your minds here because when I first heard this blew my little mind. Successful businesses just double down on what's working. I know. Like what? Say that again, Joanna. Successful businesses just double down on what's working. That's it. There's no secret sauce. There's no secret society of all the successful business owners meeting, keeping all the good strategies, keeping all the good shit for themselves while they give you the dregs. No, I used to think that there was a secret society online that had like the best strategies and they kept them for themselves. Like that was my honest opinion when I first moved online. I thought like this is so hard, this is so difficult. No, it's just to keep optimizing and find the things that work for you and double down. That's it. And the more you double down, guess what? The more you sell, the more people you reach, the more people you connect with, the more people you have powerful conversations with. That's it. So if we are not optimizing, but here's the thing, either people are not optimizing at all because they're avoiding it like the dickens because it is so difficult to do because they're coming up against self, soul, service, and source, right? And they're getting their ass kicked because they've got stuff and past traumas and they stood in those horrible freaking navy gym shorts and never got picked for the races or whatever it was in school and now putting themselves out in their business, their subconscious is going, girl, that's not safe, you know? And that's all the stuff that comes up. And so then, you want me to optimize, and then all your shit's coming up, right? But if you learn how to optimize in a way that actually aligns, and you start to realize like this is the way forward. This is the way forward to keep innovating, to keep changing, to keep going. This is going to make a huge change. So the next letter in our core framework is revenue. Okay. So revenue is in several different phases, the way that we teach it in core. So we teach revenue as picking a number for your business. Like how much do you actually want your business to make? Okay. So thinking about revenue, thinking about how much you would like to have your business make. And then the next thing in revenue is what are going to be your revenue generators. Now, remember the very, very first set of four was the unwritten rules, and we had to have a product for sale. So that is our product for sale. In the revenue part is what is going to be our revenue generators? Do we know what they are? But here's you would not believe the amount of I've coached thousands of people in business. And honestly, it really shocks me. And it's not a judgment at all because I did it too. And I thought like I was the only one that did it. I set a massive goal and then I looked at my business model and realized there was absolutely no way that my business model could hit that big goal. There literally was not enough hours in the day. And I've had so many like high achieving women through the doors over the years, and they've said, I've plateaued. Like, I want to get to this goal, and I'm like here, and it's like so difficult, and blah, 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 blah. And we'll look at their business model, and I'm like, um, any chance you've got an extra 10 hours in a 24-hour period? And they're like, what? I'm like, lady, there isn't enough to like if you were to hit that goal and we work it back from that goal, the current products that you have aren't able to hit it because you can't deliver them in that time frame. And then they go, oh, well, shit. Right? And that doesn't mean game over for your business. It just means we need to evolve in order to make that extra money that they wanted to make. We have to evolve the business. We have to evolve and we have to have a business that's capable of hitting the goals. And so building a business that's hitting the goals, but also with our product suite, we've got to make sure that our product suite actually makes sense together because we don't want to be a one-hit wonder. If we're going to do all this work and we're going to work on ourselves, we're going to work on our businesses, we're going to build relationships, we're going to build authority, we're going to do all of these things. We don't want to just do it so that we can be a one-hit wonder and then start immediately looking for the next client, the next person. We want to make sure that the people who come into our world, we build up an actual relationship with them and that they hang around, they stick around because they like what they're getting here and they keep coming back for more. Because that's effective marketing. Otherwise, you're just going to have to be like a machine when it comes to marketing because you're constantly looking for that next sale, and that next sale because nobody's staying in your world. So your product suite needs to make sense together as well. So that's really, really important. The last letter is E, and it stands for expansion. Okay. Now, I'm going to take a little drink here. Okay, expansion. This is going to be a weird concept to land for some of you. Some of you are very open and very spiritual, and you'll maybe understand this concept, and then others will be like this. So, you are a vessel. You are an energetic vessel. Because source, so we've got self, soul, service, and source, everything that you want, everything that you desire comes from source. Source is always giving. Okay. So source is always giving. So if source is always giving, you are always receiving. And you are always, as a vessel, filled to the actual brim, filled to the top. Now, don't panic. I got you. Because it means that you can still have more. But if you try and fill a vessel that is already filled to the brim and you start to try and pour in more, you get overflow, right? And it doesn't work. It doesn't fit more. You can't get more into the vessel. So this is why the E is expansion, because we have to learn how to expand our capacity. And this is something that so many other business programs will never teach you, how to begin to expand your capacity, right? And expanding your capacity is really, really important, because if you don't have the capacity, you will do all of this work to bring new clients, and your own nervous system will sabotage you. How do I know this? Because I've seen it play out again and again and again in hundreds of clients. So here's little ways that your nervous system has already sabotaged you. That client you never followed up with, right? Somebody inquired, you never wrote back to them, or you took days to write back to them. That is you definitely sabotaging. This is saying, I would like more clients, and yet something between this and somebody actually inquiring about what it is that you wanted and then you didn't follow up, that's sabotage. You're literally sabotaging. Do you know that the word sabotage, I love this. The word sabotage comes from the French. That's the etymology of the word, like the origin story of the word. And it literally means noisy shoes, right? And so I love that, because if you think about it, it's your own thinking clumping through your own head, literally. And so when you notice sabotage, I always think about a pair of noisy shoes, like a pair of clogs or something, clogging through your own mind, clop, 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 so that you can actually see it and do something about it, right? But your capacity is your capacity to receive more, because if you want to make more money, you need the capacity to receive more. It's your capacity to hold the energy that you're holding. It's your capacity to receive. The woman I am today, compared to the woman that I was 11 years ago when I first started this business, the capacity between those two women, those two versions of myself, are night and day. The capacity of who I am now can hold 10,000 students. The capacity back then was, on a good day, could hold six. I've had to learn to every single step of the way to increase my capacity. Because if you don't learn to increase your capacity, the business journey not only becomes excruciatingly painful and very, very hard, but you will eventually sabotage your own business, because you don't actually have the capacity. And what you don't have capacity for, your own central nervous system will actually shut down. And it'll appear in lots of different ways. You can get ill. You'll basically not follow up with people. You'll drop the ball on things. You'll do everything but send that freaking email that you were going to send. Suddenly, it's very, very important that you find a toothbrush and clean the taps, right? You'll do something bizarre instead, right? Suddenly it'd be so like do what I did once, which was iron tea towels. I have never ironed tea towels on one day in my freaking life, but no, now I have. Guess what I needed to do? Something in my business, right? I was hardcore sabotaging. And suddenly it was of stellar importance that tea towels in my home required ironing, right? And anybody who lives with me would be like, Joanna, what are you, like, what, are you okay? Are you unwell? You know, I was unwell. I was literally sabotaging myself. That's capacity. That's your internal system not sensing that you've got the capacity for everything. So, um, let's have a look here. Oh, that's landed. I've been doing that for years, building and expanding my capacity by healing my mind and body, and just realized that's what I want my clients to be able to do is to expand their physical capacity by healing their issues. Absolutely. So, how do you increase your capacity? Really, the easiest way is to align with self, soul, service, and source, right? The more you align there, the more you'll be able to uncover these sabotaging patterns and be able to see what we call in my world the shadow web. The shadow web is four archetypes that literally stand in the way between you and your own greatness. Your greatness is already in there. Everything that you're capable of is already kind of inside of you, but you're not reaching your potential. And the reason we're not reaching our potential is because we're letting old scripts run the show, or we're let fear run the show, or we're letting our lack of capacity run the show instead of actually beginning to deal with what's laying underneath it, right? And capacity also has a really special relationship with fear. And, and so capacity and fear kind of go hand in hand. And that also has a special relationship with safety. So we will not be, um, there's a reason why we don't play in traffic, right? Why don't we play in traffic? It's not safe to play in traffic. But if your body is interpreting you building your spiritual business and likening it to playing in traffic, you can now see why you might not want to hit send, or why you might not want to post a controversial post, or why you might not want to follow up, or why you might not want to be consistent, because it's excruciating. So this is the 444 framework. This is literally how I've built my business through being consistent through all of these things is being the most important thing. So I've got offers that make sense. That's my core framework. I post on social media, I build authority, I build relationships, I build an email asset that I own. That's my four pillars. I do this by aligning my being and my body to self, soul, service, and source. I adhere to the four unwritten rules of business, because if we didn't adhere to that, we wouldn't have a business, right? And core is the engine that drives everything. I am creating my own opportunities and creating opportunity, because then I can control the narrative. I can control the business by creating opportunity. If I want to have more opportunities, I create more opportunities. If I don't want to have, if I want to slow down and I'm listening to myself, soul, service, and source, and my being and my body is going, right, this is a lot, and I'm slowing down, then I can slow down the opportunities that I'm creating. But when I'm creating opportunities, I'm optimizing them. And I'm not using the optimization as my brand new baseball bat that I can beat myself up with. I'm using the optimization to be better, to come back better, stronger, optimizing, getting it better, and until I get to a place where I'm really, really creating something powerful. So everything I've shown you tonight works, but it only works if you actually implement it. And most people really don't, right? It isn't because you aren't capable, and it isn't because you don't have the structure or this, it's more likely because you don't have the support or the clarity to follow through. Clarity is one of the most important things in your business. So many people are so confused in their businesses, and that's one of the things that's really, really holding them back. If you are serious about building your business and you don't want to stay stuck in overthinking or second guessing or spinning your wheels, then this is the point where you make a decision, where you can begin to look at this and be like, okay, I want to get clear on my clients. I want to get clear on my messaging. I want to get clear on creating real opportunities and start really making money in my business. Then the place for you is Divine Planning Abundant Profits. This year or this month in May, it is 10 years old. It is the engine of my business. Divine Planning Abundant Profits is the system that I have developed and create that I teach other people. We've had multiple students hit their first 5K, 10K, 20K, 30K, 40K, 50K, 100K months. It's insane. We've had so many students hit $100,000 a year, and we've now had even students that have hit seven figures a year inside that container. Because the real thing that's holding you back is your self-trust, your energy, and your alignment. Those are the things that hold you back. If you want to go deep in my world and you want to go into a place where you want to go even deeper, you can go into Be Magic Academy. Be Magic Academy is where I teach the full framework of self, soul, service, and source. Divine Planning Abundant Profits is where I teach you the core framework and the other pieces of the framework, which are the unwritten rules, and we go into deep into the four pillars. So we really build on the four pillars and we really build on the core framework, teaching you how to create those opportunities for yourself, teaching you how to expand your container, your energy, so that you can hold more, sorting out your revenue plan so you've actually got a plan that can make you money, and knowing whether your plan is actually going to work or not, or the fact that maybe you need to change your business model. There's many students that have come into my world that have needed to change their business model. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop in here the two links. So the first link that I'm going to get Team Hunter to drop in for me is the link for Divine Planning Abundant Profits. If you've got any questions on Divine Planning Abundant Profits, you can ask me. Divine Planning Abundant Profits is part of the Be Magic Academy. The Be Magic Academy also teaches Unity Consciousness, Be Your Own Rescue, which is the soul part, which is all about money and abundance and your soul. It teaches Divine Planning Abundant Profits as the service pillar, and it teaches a soul-based technology called Lightweb. So all of this together, but if you have any questions on Divine Planning Abundant Profits or Be Magic Academy, you're more than welcome to ask them. If you have any questions on what you've heard tonight, please let me have them. I'd happily answer your questions. So Team Hunter here has just popped in a Divine Planning Abundant Profits link. So Divine Planning Abundant Profits is, let me just tell you about that first. I don't want you to join that course if you're not serious about building your business. So only join that course if you're like, I want to show up, I want to learn, I want to build my business. I'm serious about going to 6 to 7 figures in my business. Like I'm really, really serious. I want to be fully resourced. The community that we have inside Divine Planning Abundant Profits is like one of my biggest business achievements. It is one of the most beautiful, supportive, amazing, and incredible communities. I see the ladies in there often on each other's posts, bigging each other up and lifting each other up. And it's such a powerful, beautiful community. And I really, honestly, I know it sounds anti-business, but I really don't want you in there unless you are going to show up and be part of that community. And you really want to create something, because otherwise it's just not fair to the people that are already there. Like, I really want you to want this. I want you to make a lot of money in your spiritual business. I want you to change your life. I want you to build a business that not only changes your life, but changes the lives of the people who are in your world. So the place for that to start, if you're brand new in my world or you've been in my world for a little bit and you don't have divine planning abundant profits, if you've been in my world for a while and you're ready to go really, really all in, then Be Magic Academy is the place where you get my four main teachings. So these are the four main teachings, and we're about to launch a new program inside the Be Magic Academy, which is going to be on methodology. What is methodology? Well, methodology is if you have created your own healing model or you have your own specific way of coaching that you've created, have you ever thought about creating a course around that where you can teach other people that methodology and creating that IP for other people? So that's going to be in the Be Magic Academy. That will be a new course coming in there for this year. So Celia Shannon here is saying, Divine Planning Abundant Profits is amazing. Happy 10th anniversary. Loving the journey. Infinite and unconditional gratitude. Love. Thank you so much. Uh, so Sonia here is saying, thank you, Joanna. This has been great. You're welcome. Um, let's have a look. Yeah, so let me know if there's any questions at all, if you've got any questions on the information that you've learned today. Has it been useful to you? Has it been useful to you to see the 444 method in all her glory? Let me know in the comments. Awesome. Okay, perfect. Good, good, good. So 444 is absolutely the energy that I have used to build my business. And I have leveraged every single piece of that. Okay. I have behind me, you can see several different ways that I have built authority. I am the author of all of those books and card decks. I had my own podcast for many, many years. It's been on hiatus for a little while, but I have been on multiple podcasts. These are ways that I build authority. I want you just to break down like every single piece. My Get Selfish work, which is one of my books, Get Selfish the Way is Through, is absolutely the pillar of the self, which then extends into the unity consciousness work. So really working on that self piece has been absolutely so important in being able to hold space for thousands of people in my world. Without it, you're not going to be able to hold space in the same way that you used to. So all of these pieces come together. Building relationships, masterclasses is just one way that I build relationships with people. This builds recognition, brand recognition. I build a personal brand. It builds recognition for me and my brand. There's lots and lots of different ways that you can implement all of this, but having support to implement all of this makes a huge difference. Having somebody that you can back to. So Divine Planning Abundant Profits, you don't just get the core program, you get 17 supporting courses that teach all different aspects. So if you've ever had like weird and wonderful ideas, like I would love to have a card deck of my own, well, we teach you that inside there, right? If you've ever wanted to have retreats, well, we teach you that inside there too, right? If you're brand new in business and you're just starting out and you're like, I don't really know what a personal brand is and I don't really know what branding is. Well, we have a branding masterclass. If you're needing help and assistance with sales, we've got a sales masterclass in there. There's so many different classes in there. And then every single month we do a live coaching call. We meet on Zoom like this, except we speak on Zoom like this. And every single month you get a group coaching call, and they are really, really powerful. And everybody is asking their questions, and everybody that's in the group are all growing their businesses in different ways and shapes and forms. But we all have a very, very similar shared mission. And that shared mission is to leave this world better than we found it. That shared mission is to help other people. And that's really, really powerful. So that's what we have inside Divine Planning Abundant Profits. So Farah's here saying that the group coaching calls are amazing. So that is our Divine Planning Abundant Profits community. And then we run live cohorts, and we have our next live cohort coming up in May. I think it's the 21st. I don't know if Team Hunter can let me know if it's definitely, I think the first call for the next live cohort is the 21st of May. And we're going to do 4 weeks of live calls just to get the core plan in. So each week we go deep into the core plan and we take you through it. And it's really, really powerful when you get to go through it. In Be Magic Academy, you get Divine Planning Abundant Profits, but you also get Unity. And we do live rounds of the Unity program. Then you get the Be Your Own Rescue program, and you get the Lightweb program, and we do live rounds of Lightweb as well. And all of that comes together to form a kind of whole and a coherent piece. It's a methodology that I've channeled from spirit. Everything that I channeled, everything that I teach, I've channeled from my spirit team, Skylar. So everything that we're teaching is literally being given to me for spiritual entrepreneurs to help you get on your A game when it comes to building your spiritual business. Because I really feel that Source really wants you to have the finances and the resources to be able to make the changes that you're here for. It is so, so powerful. So I am going to leave you guys there. We've gone over by sort of 15 minutes, but I hope nobody minds. And if you have any questions, please just reach out to my team. There will be a replay of this for 72 hours. So if you want to catch the replay, you can catch the replay. I am going to be inside my Be Magic customer only group. So if anybody wants to ask any questions, you're more than welcome to ask any questions in there. And I'll drop a little post in the Be Magic community, and you can ask anything that you want to ask, or if there's any questions that you have on today's training, you're more than welcome to reach out to me or my team, and I'll speak to you guys soon, and take care. Awesome.